Hi YouTube!
Hi YouTube, we are Jay and Keem. I'm Jay.
And I'm Keem.
And we are back with another video. Today we are going to talk about our new favourite show, which is How to Get Away with Murder on Netflix.
We are literally obsessed with the show. We only started watching it about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
When we were bored in lockdown and we'd thrashed all our other shows and we were like, okay, what's next? And I just randomly started it and we were hooked from like 5 minutes in.
Literally the first episode hooks you in, and we've completed it now within about 3, maybe 4 weeks. We've completed the entire series now. So we would like to do a review, what we liked about the show, who our favorite characters are, and whether you should watch. So stick around. So, what is the show? How to Get Away with Murder. Sorry. The show sounds like it's a crazy title, and the show is pretty crazy, wouldn't you agree?
It lives up to its title.
But it revolves around a lady called Annalise Keating, who is a criminal defense lawyer based in Philadelphia. She is, aside from being a criminal lawyer, she's also a professor at the prestigious Middleton University, which is also based in Philadelphia. And the show revolves around her balancing her time as a professor and as a criminal lawyer, defending people who have quite questionable rap sheets and crimes. And it starts off her defending.
Essentially, a lot of it is murder.
A lot of it is murder.
A lot of murder cases, and she's trying to get them a not guilty sentence.
Exactly. As part of the show, Annalise hires. So when she's a professor, she then sets a challenge out to these students of, if you pass this test or this challenge, you will join me as like an exclusive internship where you will shadow me as part of my law firm. And I think that's how season 1 starts, isn't it?
Yeah, so she hires, so essentially it's their first lecture as part of her class, and she's like, I'm going to hire 5 of you to kind of join me and shadow me as in my, role as a defense attorney. So she ends up choosing the 5 like brightest students from her class, and it revolves around kind of their journeys as her students, trying to impress her, trying to like find out what she does. A lot of them want to be like her because she's like the best. She's got this amazing reputation, and she's such a good defense attorney, and she can get anyone off a murder sentence even if like all the evidence is stacked against them. Yeah,
exactly that. And the reason why the show is called How to Get Away with Murder is because as part of each season there is one big murder case that the entire Annalise and her 5 students are kind of involved with, either directly or indirectly, and it revolves around that. Aside from, so there's that one big murder scene, and then there's like kind of all the other defenses that Annalise makes on like a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. So it's like each episode has a case, so a little bit like Suits, where each episode has like a criminal case, but then on top of that, the season has like an overarching case, which actually involves like the Keating 5, which is those 5 students that she's mentoring, and then herself. So it's like there's an overarching, which I think is really good and makes you hooked, because if it was just that every episode was like an isolation of a different case, it gets a bit samey, and then you get a bit over it.
It becomes like one of those like cop shows where it's like every single
and it's like you could just watch like season 3 episode 5 without having watched like the rest of season 3, whereas it's not like that because of this overarching case. So it's like you need to have seen the previous episode to then be hooked to want to know what's happening with that specific case. And like there's loads of character development alongside that in the season, which is then intertwined with the case.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now, what we like about the show.
So I think for me, one thing that I love about this show is that the storyline is extremely gripping. So as we've kind of alluded to earlier, each episode just really keeps you wanting to watch the next episode, and by the end of it, you know it's you're 5 episodes in on a bored Saturday in your flat in lockdown. So it's it really does like keep you like hooked in that sense.
Yeah.
And the episodes are only kind of like 40 to 45 minutes long, so they're not overly long like some shows, and it's easy to watch like one episode and then another one after that without feeling like fatigued. With some shows, like you just feel a bit groggy after watching.
Like an hour. If it's an hour, you sometimes feel like, you know, like, I don't know if I'm going to start another one and commit to a whole another hour.
That's the thing. We watch shows like over months, don't we? Like, we'll watch like Power, for example. We watched that over months.
Yes.
But this show, like, I don't know what it is. It hooks you in.
Because it's such a good thriller, and it's like, we're both people who have like really short attention spans.
Yeah.
So if it's not interesting, we'll just like turn the TV off, or like we'll be half on our phones and only half watching.
Yeah.
But this, it's like we actually concentrate. It's like you just really want to know what happens next. They always leave like the end of the episode in a cliffhanger, and like people do things that are like out of character, so you get really attached, and then they kind of like flip the script and like become different, and then you're just like, you know, like you feel like you know the characters. It's just like typical for a good show.
Yes, and I think what you said there, Keem, like character development in this show is
it's unreal.
It's unreal. I've not seen it. It's on the level of like Game of Thrones level of character development in the sense of you really feel like you know these characters, and you get entwined in their storylines and all the craziness that happens in their life. Kind of, we relate to the characters, but not in the sense of like what they do, but because there's that human element there of all the characters.
That's actually a really good point. So I feel like, you know, with other shows, like let's take Power for example, a lot of the people on Power, you can't really relate to them because, I mean, I love that show as well, but like you can't relate to them in terms of like Ghost. He's just not your average person, whereas these law students are like normal people who are getting dragged into like crazy situations because of the fact that they're trying to be lawyers, and because of the fact that they're being mentored by Annalise. But other than that, like, they have normal personalities. Like, there's like a clown, there's like a guy that's like interested in his relationships, there's like the shy guy, there's like the really confident overachiever girl. Like, these are people who you can relate to, especially like if
they're people that we've been to university with. On that note, now we'll talk about our favorite characters on the show. So this is a weird one for me. I don't particularly have a favourite character on this show, because each character does something that really kind of irks you and annoys you and doesn't make you feel like they'd be your friends or something, because there's so many controversial kind of storylines in this show. But for me, like, I think like Viola Davis is the star of this show. Really? And she is, I think her acting...
We do not agree on this.
I think while I don't while her character,
she's a great actress.
Yeah. While her character is not my favorite character, her acting is just unreal, and her character goes through so many like peaks and troughs and slumps and all these kind of things that I think she has done this role to perfection almost.
Yeah. I mean, she's a great actress, but I just hate her character. Like, she's just like, she doesn't
she's a
have
menace,
feelings. Like if she's, you know, got something on you, she'll just use it against you to get you to do what she wants, like in court, or like put you on the stand or whatever. Like, she's just ruthless like that. And it's kind of like, even though you can see some sense of like a good person in her, she's just really ruthless. So I don't like her. My favorite character is Asher. He's cool, hilarious. He's one of the Keating Five, and he's just like really like crazy and silly, and like he's just relatable. He's like the class clown kind of thing, and he's just so funny. Like, he just does all these stupid accents and, he's just always like mucking about, but then it's also like really caring, and like he cares about like, I feel like he's the most empathetic character on the show to everyone else, and he like actually wants to do the right thing, but also like take care of, you know, his fellow Keating Five members.
Fully agree with that.
I love him.
Yeah, he's the least kind of self-serving character in the show.
I feel like I didn't like him very much in season 1, but then as the show went along, I liked him more and more, so he was my favourite by the end. Yeah, and Wes is like the main... Wes is great, He's the main kind of... I'd say he's probably the protagonist to some... After Viola Davis, after Annalise Keating, who is played by Viola Davis, he's probably the kind of protagonist of the law students, and a lot of the first 3 seasons revolves around him and his life story, and I just found his story so fascinating and so interesting. Wiz is great. He's great, and he's a very likable character as well. So on to our critiques of the show. Yeah, so I think like so I've watched a couple of these like YouTube reactions to How to Get Away with Murder from lawyers and law students, and I think the one standout criticism of the show is like how realistic it is to an actual courtroom.
and to actual legal cases.
But with that being said, like, I'll let you carry on. But
Yeah.
with that being said, they do use real court cases, because I
Yeah.
randomly googled one of the cases they referred to and it was a real case. I thought they were just made up.
Yeah.
So you got to give it that.
Yeah, so in the law school, for example, they're talking about a really important case that's
Yeah, or even
Yeah.
not a real case,
Yeah.
but like the ones they refer to,
like the
of,
law,
like
like,
set the standard.
Yes, yeah,
those
that's
are
true.
real cases.
yeah, like Roe v. Wade or whatever is like the
Whatever,
really major.
yeah.
So I think I think the biggest criticism is the realistic. It's not realistic, basically. I'd also say, like, another criticism I would say, I don't know if you agree, Keem, is that it can be a bit melodramatic at times. The show, like, there's a little bit of overacting in parts. I feel like that was more in the earlier seasons, and it gets fixed more towards the later seasons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree with that. So my criticism is, like, it's a bit like, actually there's two. So one's like, it can be a little bit samey. So what we mentioned before about like the overarching case, that does keep you like hooked.
Yeah.
But in sometimes the fact that there's a new case, but towards like the later seasons they kind of stopped doing it, so it got better. But in the first few seasons it was like a case every single episode, and I was like, it doesn't need to be that every single episode starts with a new case. It could be that one takes 2 episodes, one takes 3 episodes, one episode might not have a case because you're dealing just with the overarching case. But that got a little bit samey. And then the other thing, which is like kind of related, but the overarching case, it was just like a season long kind of thing. It wasn't so much the case with like
by overarching case, you
Laurel's
mean the main murder of each season.
Yeah, but like season 2 there was like an overarching murder which was about like these 2 siblings. And like it kind of came to an end by the end of that season, but it never got revisited, and I feel like it wasn't fully, like, there was some unfinished business there, and it was like there was some like loopholes slash, like, I don't know the word, but like it wasn't fully closed.
It wasn't fully there was no full closure
so,
to
like,
it.
You kind of was still like, okay, like, does this fully make sense as a plot? Like a plot hole kind of thing. Like,
a plot hole.
A plot hole. So,
and
yeah, that was. But I mean, yeah.
On your point about like the individual case that you see in each other episode, like that's aside from the overarching murder, that's the central theme of each season. There's like kind of the individual kind of defenses that Annalise and her team make, and I agree with you. Like there was some bits of repetition where like she's defending someone, and
she's gonna win.
And there's or sometimes she loses and then she brushes it off.
That does get better as you go through.
That is
because
true.
She kind of like at one point, without too much spoilers, she kind of loses a bit of her reputation and things. So she kind of like.
I thought that was the most interesting part.
Yeah, I feel like so season 3 to 4
Yes.
is like where it gets like better, because
Incredible.
they change like the format, and they change, because obviously the whole show's revolved around Annalise, and I feel like because her position changes, the dynamic of the show in general changes, so it gets way better to me.
And that's where her, like, for me, I mentioned earlier, Viola Davis was such a standout actress in this show, and I think that season 3 and season 4, where she's at her lowest, really proved that, because like her character development, and you see like her flashbacks from the past and all that stuff, incredible. Now we're going to go to the important question here. Should you stream it? What do you think?
Yes, 100% yes.
Easy
Do
answer.
it, binge it, it's locked down.
Yeah.
It's a good show to binge because you can just like smash through it and enjoy it. You do not have to like do week by week.
No.
Like, my answer is definitely yes.
Yeah, me too. I think it's such a fantastic show. I think like we've watched shows before where like we've watched the show and then we're on our phone, and we're like scrolling Instagram, scrolling Twitter, but this show, my god, you completely forget about your phone, you completely forget about like everything, and you're just so zoned into this.
And 6 seasons as well, with 15 episodes each. We thought we're gonna give up after like a season,
and it will take us months if we ever stick with the show, but
we are like attention deficit, and we got through the whole thing and loved it. So like, yes, we give it a thumbs up. Definitely.
Thanks so much for joining, guys. I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed this review of How to Get Away with Murder. And if you're interested in more kind of TV show, movie reviews, then please let us know in the comments. And as always, like,
comment,
and subscribe. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye.